Hey everybody, Tina Lorenz here, and I just want to welcome you to today's live broadcast. And if you're here watching the replay, be sure you do let us know that's how you were viewing this with hashtag replay. So I am right now, believe it or not, at Disney World, and I'm here in the mobile office. And I just wanted to take a mention of that just real quick because it's just such a cool thing to be entrepreneurial and be able to be wherever you want to be and work from wherever you want to work. I'm right now smack dab in the middle of Fort Wilderness here at Disney World. Granddaughters are here, staying in another resort. And so I just want to celebrate just for a moment that ability to be able to travel and work on your own terms from wherever you want, no matter what. And even though sometimes there's a little bit of technical challenges in doing it, it all works out. So welcome, 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 and celebrating today with you, and just so happy that you're here. Thanks for joining me. So today we're going to talk about money. Okay, we're going to talk about something that's probably on your mind. It's on a lot of people's minds right now. And so let me just start by asking you a question. Do you ever feel like you're stuck at one income level, or maybe even find yourself wondering, how come money seems to come so easily to some people, but not necessarily to me? You don't have to answer out loud, but do you ever feel like that? Because, and I'm honestly, I think I've felt like that over the years. There's been times where I felt like that too. I think it's something that's very easy to fall into that. So today we're going to talk about how four dangerous money myths could be keeping you stuck. Like one of my friends says, stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck. And I always think that's kind of funny when he says it. But we're going to talk about how to get unstuck so that you can accelerate your prosperity. So we're going to dig into some myth busting like right now. And we're going to explore four dangerous myths. Try saying that. Four dangerous myths about money. Oh my gosh, that's kind of hard to say. But it's not so easy to break them sometimes if you don't know what it is that's causing you to have those things run around in your head in the first place. So one of the things I want to tell you for being here today, at the end of this, I'm going to give you I think there's four more simple exercises that you could be doing, how you can help shift how you're thinking, how you're going to be able to let's explode those myths and let's vaporize them today. Let's start doing that together today. And I see that I've got folks coming in, so I just want to greet you and thank you again for being here. So as we go through this, you may actually find yourself a little bit challenged by some of these, that you may start kind of arguing in your own head about some of them, but just stick with me and let's see where we go. Okay. So myth number one, you have to work hard to make money. There's even a song about it. There was a song, Donna Summers, right? This belief comes from generations of brain training. Basically, we've been programmed to think that we have to work very hard to make money. And that's, yeah, how many of you are feeling like that? And now, but let's think about this. If that were true, people that work hard, like bricklayers and FedEx drivers and teachers and nurses and tree trimmers and the guys that climb up the poles to do the power line work, all of these kinds of jobs and many, many more that are hard would be making more money than anybody if that were true, because a lot of those professions work harder, physically harder than anybody. And yet, a lot of times they're not the ones that have very much money. So if it were true, if you wanted to make more money, you'd just work harder, right? But maybe you're already doing that. Maybe you're already trying that. How's it working for you? How is working harder and harder, longer and longer hours, just really gut-wrenching difficulty? How's that working for making more money? So what if we were thinking harder? What if we spent more time on contemplation and meditation and creation and innovation? What if we gave ourselves that brain space to actually think harder, think more deeply about what we're doing in our work instead of really just kind of gritting it out, the side hustle thing, all those terms that are just part of our culture, right? And part of our thinking. So that's myth number one. Working harder does not necessarily mean more money. Myth number two, money comes from helping others. Okay, now that's a tough one for a lot of us. Those of us that tend to over deliver, those of us that have a heart for service, all of those things, right? But if it were true, it would mean that all wealthy people got rich by helping others. Don't know about you, But I can think of a number of people who have a lot of money that there's nothing about that in their realm, nothing that feels like that, without naming any names. And remember, though, and seriously, there's a difference between guiding and mentoring and coaching and leading and carrying someone on your back. I mean, metaphorically, of course. So there's a difference between working harder and harder to give till we're like dragging people behind us, trying to drag them across the finish line, drag them to the starting line even. And like so many things, a person has to be motivated to do it for themselves, that we can only go so far. And again, if it were true that by giving that would make you have more money, everybody that or that you had to help others, that's the only way you were going to get the money, that's already proven not to be true by so many people that have a lot of money that don't necessarily do anything for anybody else, right? All right. Myth number 3. Money comes from practicing gratitude. Now, maybe you've heard that a lot, but if that were true, 100% of rich people would also be grateful. They would be so grateful. They would have a heart of kindness and gratitude. They would express it on a regular basis. Can you think of some people that have a lot of money that don't do that? Because I can, definitely. Now, gratitude certainly can be part of it. I don't want to downplay the practice of gratitude. I definitely recommend practicing gratitude for so many reasons. But that one thing alone is not going to bring money. So I want you to take a minute now and think of money as a spiritual resource, a no strings attached divine source of energetic exchange, something that's there for us, that's divinely there for us. And then think about this. What is your relationship with it, with that energetic exchange, with money? I'm not going to go too far into this on this particular broadcast, but I went through a process of kind of having something I challenged myself to do, is to have that conversation with money. Like, what would it say to you? What would you say to it? And I found it a very interesting process. And again, like I said, we can talk about this more on another time, because I discovered something about my relationship with it, that it could feel bristly. It could feel adversarial. Sometimes it could feel demanding sometimes. And so I invite you to kind of explore that as you're doing whatever your process is for prayerful meditation or contemplation, that thinking thing I was talking about. What is your relationship with it? If money had a personality and a voice and could sit down and have a conversation with you, and you could just openly speak to each other, what would it say to you? And what would you say to it? Something to think about. Like I said, we can explore this more on another time. So myth number 4, money comes from giving to worthy causes. Now, there's things with tithing, with donating, with funding other organizations, with donating part of the profits. All of these things are great things to do. But if it were true that that's the thing, that's the key, then 100% of rich people would be giving all their money away. They couldn't get rid of it fast enough, because it would bring so much more, right? Another myth busted, right? That we don't really see that. So, and I see someone says this session is not for me. That's fine. That's awesome, because your marketing message should be so clear that you attract those that are motivated by it, that resonate with it, that it creates a pathway for, and it should actually send the others away. And so that's exactly what you should be aiming for with your messaging. And that's absolutely fantastic. No problem. So all of these things are good and kind things to do, but by themselves, none of them are the key. None of them unlock that door. They're not the essential foundation. So I'm going to tell you what the truth is now about that essential foundation. It's not what we do or we don't do. It's what we believe about what we do or don't do. It really starts with that. It really starts with what we believe about that. And guess what helps you do that? Your brain. Your brain's going to help you with what you choose to believe and what you choose not to believe, and how that works for you. Because really, your brain is like your partner in manifesting and magnetizing money. And so one particular part, again, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I'm just so fascinated with how our brains work and how we can be a partner in that, so to speak. It isn't like a separate entity running the show, that we can choose how we use the magnificent gift we've been given of our brain. And so this one little area, it's right at your brainstem, is called your reticular activating system. I call it RAS for short. And so basically, very simply, the way I understand RAS, your reticular activating system, is if your brain believes it, if it's something you believe, your reticular activating system is going to help match things up for you. Its whole job is to make sense of your world, your outer world and your inner world, both, right? And so kind of think of it as a little go-between. So for example, if you were to say to yourself, and you could plug in whatever words work for you, it could be meditate, it could be pray, it could be contemplate, it could be run in circles and throw daisies in the air, whatever it is. Every morning I meditate, and that's what brings me more money. If that's what you were saying to yourself, the more I meditate, the more money I make. If this were something that you believed, right, that this would be true for you, that if your brain believes that, then your brain is going to match it up for you. And that's the simplest way to explain your reticular activating system, making sense of your inner world and your outer world and your actual experiences of that. So whatever you tell your brain, whatever you're telling it, and whatever you're thinking it, is how you get more of it. What you focus on is what you start to create. Where your attention goes, your intention goes, your attention goes. They both go into the same point, and that's what starts to create more actual results of whatever that may be, good, bad, or indifferent, in your life. And so the other thing I really want to make sure I mention is that money is not moral or judgmental, right? And depending on where you live in the world, different color paper, it could be in coins. You could be in Canada and have loonies, the $2 bills, I think those are, and all the different aspects of money. It's just a material expression of that exchange of energy, right? And so it's not moral, it's not judgmental. It can flow to bad people. We've all seen plenty of that. And it can flow to good people. It can flow wherever it needs to go. So what makes it flow? We say we want it. We say we desire it. We say that we need it. But we need to understand that our ideas about money and what it represents are steeped in generational beliefs, even cultural beliefs. And it's some things that we grew up with from previous generations, from family, from cultures, from all of our experiences coming together. And, in the past, money was tied to more to physical resources, lumps of sooty coal, colorful beads, shiny gold coins, herds of grazing cattle, right? This is what represented money or wealth in previous generations, and in some areas still to this day. That is how it's represented. But for us right now, where we are in our digital online world, we don't live in that world anymore. For most of us, we're not exchanging chickens and eggs for things, things like that. So our world, Google, Facebook, Amazon, consulting, coaching, digital marketing, freelance copywriting, right? All of these digital assets and resources and pathways for us. And so whether you're a copywriter or not, if you're a marketer in any kind of realm of communication, then our words and our strategies many times are commodities also. Maybe you're in e-commerce, maybe you're selling physical products, but for a lot of us, and even if you are selling physical products, there's still an aspect of your words and your strategies are part of the commoditizing of what you do, right? And so our brains need to catch up with this program, okay? And so what if, let's just consider for a moment, what if your money didn't have to be tied to physical resources? What if it flowed as easily as air? Now, we don't worry, most of us don't worry every day about whether we'll have enough air, right? Barring illness or any of those types of circumstances, for the most part, we don't worry about whether we'll have enough air each day. We expect it to be there. We don't go to bed at night worrying, will there be any in the morning, right? We don't go looking for it. Am I seeing any? We don't make lists about it. How much air will I be able to get today? We don't budget it, but okay, better hold my breath for a while because there might not be enough to get through the day, right? We don't lose sleep over it unless, again, barring illness or any of those things. It's just there all the time. And actually, so is money. It's just there all the time. It's out there, right? And so the first thing is to emotionally align with money. It doesn't come from working harder, by helping more, by grinding extensively, by hustling endlessly. That's not what makes it happen. It comes when you consistently expect it, believe it, feel it, and know it. And I'm even going to add, play with it. Now, what do I mean by play with it? Well, when I had that money conversation I was telling you about, that's one of the things that really struck me is it seemed like to me the personality of money was playful, like friendly, playful, let's what would you like to do today kind of a thing. And so and maybe you'll experience something different for you, but I just think it's just such an interesting thing to take a look at for yourself and kind of examine that, because that really stayed with me after I experienced it that way. I thought, how playful have I felt about it, right? Because it gets to be pretty serious business a lot of the time, that causes us stress and anxiety and all of those things. But here's where it gets interesting. The things that I just talked about as myths, that doesn't mean that they're just like completely tossed out the window. It means that we are not looking at those things as the specific way. So, for example, gratitude. Gratitude feels good. Giving feels good. Helping feels good. Playfulness feels good. What do those things all have in common? When you combine feeling good with vivid expectation, like really, really being able to picture these tremendous outcomes for yourself, guess what happens? A lot of times things start to happen. Things start coming together. It's like, wow, this is like amazing how this is working. And again, I really want to emphasize that doing these things, exploring this for yourself, and maybe if it's not for you, you're not exploring it at all. But if it feels like, this is kind of interesting to me, it doesn't cost you anything except your own time and energy to try it, to put some time into just saying, I'm just going to explore thinking differently. I'm just going to explore giving this a shot and see what happens. And because even as you're telling yourself this, when you start to have that hesitation, that's actually your brain kicking in the gear of, hey, excuse me, boat is rocking, doesn't feel safe to me, right? And so your brain is programmed to keep you safe. That's how we get through various things that can be difficult or dangerous or life-threatening. All of those things is your brain is its job also is to keep you safe. And so it's going to like pop up with that, hey, this kind of feels weird to me right now. It doesn't feel like the normal state of affairs. And so that's actually a good sign, because it means that your brain's paying attention, and this is the time to start telling your neural pathways, creating new ones by thinking something differently and starting to teach your own brain what is important to you and what you value and where your focus is. And your brain will pay attention. It's not going to run off and do its own thing. It's going to pay attention. And so that also brings us to the power of words. And then, of course, as a copywriter, word nerd, that all of that. I almost called myself a nerdsmith. That might be a whole new thing to explore. I'm a wordsmith and a nerdsmith. So how many negative messages, though, does society feed us about money? By the time you're little, by the time you're just a little kid, before you even were consciously aware that you could reason or think or have an opinion, of anything at any great extent, how many things were just kind of being soaked up with your little sponge-like brain, taking in all the messaging. And how does society talk to us about money? Now, some of us are copywriters. Some of us are freelance copywriters. Others that are watching this may be marketers or coaches, doing various things with your business or working in a job even. It doesn't mean you can't be thinking differently about money. And so, but we understand that our words should make us feel something. Words do make us feel something. So let's talk about it. Think about the things that we've been told from the time we were little. And I would really add to right now the news. You can watch the news one day and have them say, oh, gloom, doom, everything's terrible. And then you can watch it the next day and say, oh, well, all indicators are way better than we thought they were. And people are getting jobs all over the place. And so many people are employed and things are on the upswing. You can hear both things within this 24-hour period. And they impact us. They impact our brains. And so, and yeah, maybe sometimes there's agendas outside of what we think is obvious about the messaging may have other reasons why it's being heralded to the heavens about current situations. Okay, I'm talking carefully around all of this, but so we really need to choose for ourselves, maybe decide for ourselves what we are going to believe. And so that can also include, well, which I'll get to in a minute, like turning off some of that input. So let's just talk about some of the things we've heard. How about hard-earned money? You don't want to take your hard-earned money in. Don't throw away your hard-earned money. Or how about, I'm just going to rattle off some that come to mind for me. Easy money, right? What does that mean? Easy money. Okay, easy money, it's almost like it's not okay, right? We're poor, but we're happy. That's even said about cultures. Oh, whoever they may be, they don't have much, but they're so happy, right? How many times have you heard things like that? And then think, really, when you start paying attention, think, wow, is this really the message we want to send? That it's really okay to be impoverished as long as you're happy along with it, right? And so I'm just saying, it's stuff to think about, okay? Or how about, do you think I'm made of money? Have you ever heard that one? How many of you heard that one? Come on now. If I could see you raising your hands, I bet you a whole bunch of you would be raising your hands. Or do you think I'm made of money? So, or how about, you're just going to have to be patient, be reasonable. You have to work your way up from the bottom. You have to pay your dues. The struggle is real. Oh my gosh. If I see that on another shirt, it makes me want to just rip it off or throw a blanket over them or something. Like, don't tell yourself this day after day. What are you training your brain to believe, right? And I actually used this example a while back. Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't, but I was in a UPS store, right? And the clerk was helping me, and I couldn't help but notice that she had tattoos on her arms, and right in her inner arm, where she would see it, like tilted the right direction, so it made sense to read it. It basically said, "Life is hard," on her arm, emblazoned on in indelible ink, right? It's like, oh my gosh, what are you teaching yourself? What are you training your brain to? What are you teaching if you had children, for example? Mommy, what is that? Life is hard on your arm. What does that mean? I mean, just really think about the impact of the words, and to the fact that you would carve them onto your body, right? In a sense, it's just like, oh, just really, really terrible. It's, to me, terrible way to train to believe, because it's going to become that person's reality all the time, right? So the struggle is real. And I see things in the comments that, I see a bunch of good ones. I want consistent. Oh, Una says she wants consistent money. That's good. But all money is not good money. And you only have so much. You only need this much to be happy. Maybe you've said that. Have you ever said that? Well, I don't need a lot. I just need enough to live on. I just need enough to take care of my needs. If that's what you truly desire, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's what I'm saying. And so think about what some of the ones that you might have. And I see a bunch of them popping up in the comments right now of a new shirt. The struggle is not real. The mindset is, that it's, what words need to be vaporized from your vocabulary. Not only the words you're saying aloud, but the words you're saying to yourself. That's what really, really has to be looked at. What are you telling yourself every single day, every single hour of the day? How many times do these messages come roaming through your brain, rambling through, wow, it must be nice. Have you ever said that? I've said that. I have. I've said that. Wow, I must be nice. One of my clients just shared news on Facebook that one of her things is helicopters, right? Now I already knew she had one. Well, now now she's really got one, probably a several $1 million helicopter, right? Do you ever have that moment where you go, wow, must be nice? I admit to all these things myself. I'm, the things I teach and the things I share come from my own journey as well. It isn't from some lofty perspective of, oh, look at down there and all of that. Look at those ants struggling along. Oh, poor things. No, it's like from my own journey as well. That's why I can speak about it in a way that feels familiar, very familiar, possibly, because it's not anything different than a journey that I myself have been on and continue on. Because all of these things aren't just I've arrived. I got it all dialed in. There's people with lots of money who then don't feel worthy of having the money. People with lots of money who then lose the money. How many stories have you heard of rags to riches, rags to riches, rags to riches times how many times, right? And part of that is sort of the entrepreneurial journey, that we take risks. And so sometimes when we take risks, then there's the down times as well. But it's the difference of what our belief is about what comes next. Does it finish you, or does it continue to propel you forward? Did it happen to you or for you? Did you learn from this experience? And as opposed to saying it's a failure, it's a learning opportunity to know what you choose to do differently next time. I mean, there's lots, right? We don't have all day here, right, folks? Okay, so, but all of these messages, They get ingrained and indoctrinated into cultures, entire cultures, communities, and or how, to me, one of the things that I just, when I first learned about this, thought, how can there be food deserts, what are considered food deserts in the United States? How can there be in communities in urban areas that don't have access to quality food and grocery stores and fresh fruits and vegetables and all those things? How does that even happen, right? And so these things become cultural, even communities, so many lines, right? That it crosses all of these things, the indoctrination and ingrained belief process, right? So again, remember our reticular activating system, good old RAS. It's your gatekeeper, it's your enforcer, it's your matchmaker, and so it's on regular all day, all the time, doing its job, and that, so making those outside pictures match the inside pictures. And as I even talk about these things with culture and all of that, there's obviously so many depths we could go to with it, of our societal messaging and expectations and opportunities and marginalization and exclusion. I mean, there's so many ways that we have to get down to the core, of kind of bootstrap sort of messaging sometimes to reach more people, to teach children, to teach entire communities of how to lift, and that starts with what they believe is possible, and then, but then also, how do those gateways open to possibility? Again, it's a whole an additional layer upon layer of topics. So for right now, we're talking about this, that the outside picture matches the belief. So if you think rich people are selfish or bad or rich, whatever as you want to call them, I've heard terminology used like that for anyone that had money or a nice car, any of those things, your brain's going to protect you, get this part, by not allowing you to be one of those people, not allowing you to get rich. If you say rich people are bad, having money, they might have done something wrong. Oh, they're probably selfish. Your brain is already processing all that. Well, then don't let that happen to me. Okay. And guess what? It won't, because you'll never have the opportunity to know what it even felt like to have the money come rolling in, right? Your brain's going to protect you. It's going to match your beliefs to your reality. So let's talk about the good news. You can retrain your brain. Money flows to you based on how you think and feel about money. And I know I probably feel some of that resistance going on right now. No, wait, Tina, you don't understand my situation. Oh, I might, because I've been there, because I've lost everything financially before, because I've been all the way to the bottom, because I've been homeless, because I had to live in a shelter, all of I have things taken from me, all of those things. I get it. So, but speaking of getting it, how do you get there? How do you get there to feel and think differently? So you become aware, first of all, kind of your own little hypervigilance to yourself, and catch yourself, so that we reboot and we reinstall new programming. Okay. We recalibrate, we reboot, we refocus, we rethink how we're approaching these things. So even a simple start, it's, I know money is coming from the way I think and feel about it. So I'm going to become aware of how I think and feel about it. Can you just do that for today? I know money comes from how I think and feel about it. So I'm going to become aware of how I think and feel about it. That's the first step. Become aware, pay attention, and then think about, let's play with it, not work with it. Let's play with it. What if it were playful? What if it could be playful? What if it could be kind of like a game, right? The game of money, the game of life. What if it were just kind of like, a lot of people like to gamify things. I've never been a video game person. Damaging admission. I'm pretty sure I'm probably the only person on the entire planet Earth who's never played a video game. Okay. I do not. I have not. I don't care. I don't want to. That's that. So it's just not a thing that's ever appealed to me. So, but think about the power of your words. Notice opportunities. How many times have you turned away from an opportunity thinking, I'm not ready, I've got to do something more, I couldn't possibly do that, I couldn't say that number, all of those things. Think about that. Are you noticing opportunities so that you can take advantage of them? And then there's nothing wrong with the word take advantage of, like put yourself in that position to be able to take up the opportunity. The power of the words you use in your head, the power of the words you're saying out loud, might be the power of the words you're writing, and choose different thoughts to think. You're the thinker of your thoughts. Your thoughts aren't like in charge of today, Tina. We're going to think, this is what we're thinking. There we go. You get to choose what you think, right? So now I promise you I'm going to give you some simple exercises to start overcoming this, to start this myth bust. We're going to bust the myths, and now we're going to make a new way of thinking. Who's ready for that? I feel like I could just like I see names and things. Just you can just kind of wave at me, and I'll pretend like I can see it. Who's ready for this? You know, say it to yourself. I'm ready. I'm ready. Exercise 1. Your thoughts have power. Notice yours. Okay. Tune into your feelings. If you hear a commercial, for example, let's just say right now, anytime you can probably turn on the TV and you'd hear one for debt consolidation, or I'm pretty sure I'm in Florida. There's a whole lot of injury lawyers and all that. I mean, the ads are like fast and heavy every 5 minutes, it seems like, here for that. Or news about financial downturns, meltdowns, recessions, inflations, all the shuns of the money, right? How do those things make you feel? Do you begin kind of that gloom and doom thinking? Do you find your energy goes down? Do you start to feel a little tense? You start to get a little scared? You know, all of those things. And I don't know if there's a little of any of that, because all it takes is some, and it starts shifting. So when you notice that, shift your thinking. Just choose to make a decision that you're going to. And you don't have to be like looking over your shoulder. Well, what if I think differently and then it sneaks up on me? You know, we all kind of develop that. So do you ever feel that way? Like you're like watching for the thing to pounce instead of looking forward. And so pay attention. And you can literally tell yourself, I don't need to keep feeling this. I can start thinking different thoughts. I don't need to think that thought. I decide to think something different right now. You can decide just in a moment. Okay. If it's too much for you to feel like, I don't know if I can promise this because I got to worry about it. You know, it's such a strange thing we do where it's like we decide that we're going to focus on all the negative stuff. Like we're afraid to look away. It's like when you go by an accident on a freeway, we've seen so many of them where, you know, rubbernecking syndrome, where you're driving along and all of a sudden the traffic's slowing down because there was an accident over there on the other side, 3 lanes over, not even on our side, but everybody's slowing down. You know, we got to focus on this. Oh my gosh, look how bad it is. You know, it's just kind of a human frailty, I think, that we probably all share at some level. So choose how you're going to think. I know how to think more positive thoughts. I know how to shift this to something more positive. Tell yourself that I know how to do this. I am capable of changing how I'm thinking about this. I am capable of choosing different ways to think. I am in charge of my thoughts. I am the thinker of my thoughts. I'm happy. I recognize this. I'm grateful. I recognize this. This is my opportunity to think differently. Literally start telling yourself things like that. And if you start arguing with yourself, here's a phrase. You can write this down if you have a pen handy. Ever since I fill in the blank, I've noticed something shifting. Ever since I chose to think differently, I've noticed something shifting. Ever since I decided to think more positively about money, I've noticed something shifting. Ever since I put into practice what Tina's talking about today, I've noticed something shifting. So it's the ever since I fill in the blank, I've noticed something shifting. Because what that's actually doing is saying, hey brain, hey brain, hey brain, pay attention because I noticed something shifting, and your brain will cooperate and say, oh, okay, this looks like it's something important. So I better pay attention too, right? And so it also just helps start shifting it into gear that you are going to do something different and that you're noticing something is shifting. You don't even have to specify what it is. So I hope that makes sense. It really will help you if you're having any of those like resistant moments, right? So give yourself a brain blast about your ability to do this and just say no to dangerous conversations. What do I mean by that? Avoid the temptation to go down the rabbit hole. You know that expression, misery loves company? That one. You know how people get together and, okay, let's talk about the bad thing. Okay, you want to talk about the bad thing? Yeah, I want to talk about the bad thing. Oh my gosh, that's such a bad thing. I know. Doesn't that make you just feel like crap? Yes, it does. How about you? Do you feel like crap too? I absolutely do. Don't have those conversations, okay? Because that just takes you further down into the depths, okay? And remember, your reticular activating system is working all the time. It's matching your thoughts to your reality. So don't watch the news before you go to bed. Don't watch it while you're eating dinner. I have done that before. It's not, I don't recommend it for your digestive process. And take your brain off of autopilot when it comes to your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs. It isn't just like a field day of 5-year-olds racing around with puppies, okay? You get to control your thoughts. You can rein them in. You can choose to think differently. You can make a decision that that's what you're going to do. And so that starts with making that decision, okay? Exercise number 2. Oh boy, here we go. I'm going out on a limb here. You can afford it. What? What is she saying right now? You can afford it. Shift off autopilot and knee-jerk reactions. So I'm going to call these brain shifts, right? So here's the brain shift. I can afford it. I can buy that if I want to. Now, maybe you aren't buying it in the moment because there are other reasons not to besides money. Think about this now. There's always a way. Like if someone said it's okay, this is it. I have your child held hostage. It's this, or the money needs to be here today, or else, probably we're all, we're going to do whatever it takes. We're going to move heaven and earth. We're going to find it, right? And so that's an extreme example, but there's always a way. So like, if your refrigerator breaks down, it's 110 degrees out. You're probably going to find a way that you're going to either get it repaired or you're going to get another one. Most of the time we in our current culture don't have to go without. We find a way, right? You have abundance all around you all the time, in your home, wherever you are, in my mobile office, in your home, wherever you may be right now. You have abundance all around you. And the reality is you can afford the things you want, but you may choose not to buy them for other reasons. So line up those other reasons for yourself, okay? So you're keeping yourself on track with how you're thinking. It comes back to how you think about it. We can afford this. I can have this. Make a decision, even if you don't know the how, but you can tell yourself, I can have this if I choose to. We can afford this. Even just saying that to yourself starts shifting your thinking in a different direction with your relationship with money. Even if you choose not to in the moment, you can if you really wanted to, if you really choose to. When you just start playing with that. Just start playing with thinking it differently that way, okay? And see what comes comes with that. So for example, this very mobile office, for example, we wanted this type of mobile office. They're expensive, they're big, they're built on a heavy duty truck chassis, they look like a semi. And we started looking at them and we were thinking, we didn't quite know the how at the time. We've had now this for a number of years, but at the time we didn't quite know the how. We just focused on the desire to, the intention to, the goal to. We went and looked at some, we looked at pictures of them, we learned more about them. And then one day it happened that it became real. And here we are, right? We completely remodeled it, had it all torn apart, completely new roof, new floor, new everything. And this happened before. Another time, we've done it with a small RV. I started talking about I really want a small RV also. I really desire to have a small RV. And a few years ago, I have photos of myself standing next to our little Mercedes Sprinter van, right? That we have the Aero to spare. We have a small one as well. And this is something that we've done frequently, Ron and I, as far as this starting to envision, even if we didn't know the how yet, and that we can choose to, we can, if we choose to, we are able to, and then the thing becomes the reality eventually. I'm not saying it all happens overnight, but when you practice this way of thinking, things start coming together in ways you may not have been able to imagine previously if you were trying to figure out the how. You don't have to control the how, the timing, any of that. Just think it differently. And also, here's another phrase you can use: this or something better. And this can apply even to clients, right? When you're speaking to prospective clients, and maybe, is it going to work out? Is it not? Are you putting a lot of pressure on it? This is a whole other angle of what happens with your money thinking, of a desperation, grasping kind of a thing. And if you just like release that outcome, this or something better, as long as you're doing your part. I'm not saying this all happens by sitting back and doing nothing, but I'm saying that if we build in more ease, a more of a vivid picture of what's possible, but without sort of that ooh kind of tension, a lot of things can start shifting that you may not even realize, right? The second exercise number 3, practice abundant thinking. Okay. Notice how much you've already manifested in your life and how much abundance you already have. Maybe you have a lot of books. What's in your kitchen? What's in your spice cabinet? Maybe you've got 5 kinds of every kind of spice. How are you doing with shoes these days? Maybe you've got about a zillion pairs of running shoes or flip-flops or whatever your thing is. How about abundance of nature, that you're in a beautiful setting and you see wildlife, or you see gorgeous sunsets and sunrises, the abundance that you experience right now, because we all have it at some level, in some way. There's abundance everywhere. So start noticing it. Start paying attention to that. Train your brain to abundance. Cultivate the feeling, the energy of abundance. If you desire something because of how it makes you feel, that's how we end up buying things, right? It makes us feel a certain way. Have you ever noticed how many times you touch things in a store, and that's all built into the marketing? They want you, they're aware, of where things are placed and all of that, but that there's all your senses get involved in that process. How about the smell of a new car, right? How about the feel of a really fine leather handbag, or the fluffiness of a kitten, that you really desired to have a kitten, and when you picked it up, it was purring and it was soft and warm, And so start having that feeling now. Do you desire to have a new car? Do you desire to feel rich, to feel free, to feel happy, to feel safe? All of those things. Ask yourself, how do I already have that feeling now? Where am I already happy? Where am I already free? Where am I already safe? Where am I already rich with the love of my pets, my friends, my family, with nature, with, 15 pairs of glasses, whatever it may be for you? Where do you already feel abundant? And what does that feel like? And maybe you think, I desire money, so I work for myself, and I travel, and I have new experiences. Maybe that's part of what you would like to see be transformed in your life, or to develop more of. So take the steps now. I didn't get to Disney World in a mobile office by thinking it wasn't possible way back when I started. Even though I didn't know how at the time I would get there. I didn't know honestly how to imagine some of it at the time when I first started, that this could actually be my reality. But take steps now. So how do you do that? You learn the skills you need. Learn whatever it is you need to learn to create more in your business, or to start your business, or to become something new that's going to be your business. Imagine yourself doing it vividly. Picture the outcome you desire. There's actual science behind this. I don't have time to go into that today, but there's actual science that shows that when you vividly picture yourself, and vividly picture the results, all of those things, it helps it to actually become your reality. There's a science to it, how our brain works. It isn't just all woo and sparkly pixie dust. That's part of it. And I do have a magic wand with me, but that's not what makes it all come together all by itself, right? And so cultivate and appreciate what's already giving you that feeling in your life. That abundance flow is the expectation and feeling of abundance as you already have it, instead of the limitations, what I don't have, oh, what was me, what do I have, and yes, the gratitude for that, and the expansion of that. When you feel like you already have it, your reticular activating system will match it up. And so, I've often said, and then I found out it was actually the name of a book, You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. And don't you ever feel like you sort of roll around in it? Like when you're like upset or depressed, or like you have a right to feel that way, gosh darn it, and you spend a lot of time like just thinking about it, and kind of ruminating in it, and kind of luxuriating in the misery. That's why we put on sad music when we were teenagers. You ever put it on just so you would feel more upset and more depressed? It just wasn't right along with the feeling, that kind of thing. The funny thing about human nature that we can seek that out, because it's like we want to prove our limitations. We want to prove our disappointments, want to prove why we've suffered so much, instead of thinking, okay, I'm processing this so I can move on past it. Like sometimes just have a good cry and get it over with. Maybe sometimes that's why we just need to kind of wallow around in it. But then the trick, so to speak, is moving through it. That's it, moving through it, and not having that become our identity of suffering, our identity of poverty, our identity of failure, our identity of loss, our identity of never being able to be successful. All those things need to shift into becoming the identity of the person who can do the thing, so you have the results that you desire. So when you notice that you're feeling stuck or stalled financially, just that, notice the feelings that go with that. Shift gears, focus on the feeling of abundance instead. Start today. I hope that you'll find something helpful here for most of you, and trust the process. You'll feel the difference. You'll see the difference. You may start to see other results showing up. And someone at IRC saying, what a great message today. Thank you. I apologize. It says Facebook user because I'm coming in through StreamYard. And so It doesn't always show me your names if you haven't signed up with StreamYard to allow that. But I just want you to know how much. Someone said I'm brandishing the wand. And this one actually has, this isn't my primary wand. This is my backup wand. And it does have lights. So it does have that. It is an advantage. So, but I am aware it could put some people into a seizure. So I'm not going to hold it up there very long. But thanks so much for being here today. And I hope that you'll subscribe. I have a goal to hit my first 1,000 subscribers over on YouTube. And I really appreciate that. If you participate in that process with me. And also really what it means is you're going to get notified every time I go live. And I want you to not miss any of the messaging that for those of you that it does resonate with and the one that left. So, and honestly, I do not take it personally at all. I actually find humor in it. So let's see. Here's someone saying that one myth. I have to work really hard for the money. That's what I did. Did I improve? Sure did. I achieved my money goal? No. Yeah. See, that's the thing. And sometimes that, I'm not saying that's an easy one to let go of. I've definitely been down that path. I think I still wrestle around with it at times, and I'm learning. I'm still learning too, just like maybe you are as well. And finding that sort of, oh, okay, what if I just I think a lot. Okay. I mean, you might not know it. It may not show, but I do actually think a lot about what I want to do next and how I approach my audience and how I communicate with you and what message should I share with you this week and how will it be helpful to you? Can I get it across in a clear manner too, that you truly find value with this and that it's something there's a takeaway for you that you can leave at least with one thing that you can do that I feel my mission is accomplished for this day for doing this. So, but by spending that time, just being able to vividly imagine where you want to go and what that looks like, instead of just grind, you may be surprised that it starts to ease things up. It starts to open up other avenues for you. My mother could squeeze $1 out of a dime. Somebody said, yeah. And yeah, some of us can remember when things cost a dime. How many things can you remember that cost a dime? I can remember 5-cent scoop of ice cream. I probably shouldn't even say that out loud. And tell us more about YouTube. Oh my gosh, that's a whole other topic. We'll talk more about YouTube another time, but I'm live broadcasting into 3 different platforms right now because I want to be able to impact my audience as much as I possibly can, because I have a mission to bring forth all this information for you to understand that even if you're with me in my programs on freelance copywriting, it's about so much more than headlines and bullet points. There's so many layers deeper than that bring about your success and the shifts in your life, not just in your business, but your life. It all fits together. They are not separate entities where, we don't talk about business over here and we only talk about my life over here. That the way you process what you're doing should all be able to be blended together into it is who you are, and that you bring yourself to this party. And just by being yourself and your own authentic messaging and your own aligned messaging, learning the skills, learning the tactics, getting mentored, getting coached, all of those things, come to my cash flow copywriting challenge, be able to ask questions, get your answers, all of those things. That the most important part is that that you are serving from a level of that you are divinely called to. We all have a divine assignment. I believe we all do. And that when you step forward into it, instead of resisting and finding all the reasons why you can't possibly do that thing, and you push through the turbulation that can happen, that pushback that can happen, you may break through to a whole new dimension of your life that you are called to and meant for. And that is my mission, is to help you see that, identify it, embrace it, and achieve it. So thanks for being here with me today. I hope that you'll comment, subscribe, share, especially share if there's something here you think would be helpful to someone else. I hope that you'll share it with them as well. Thanks again for being here, and I will see you next time, probably still here at Disney World. I'm going to be here for a while, and I'll talk to you again soon. Okay, take care, everybody, and thanks again for being here today.